Hey peeps, welcome to a new Decklist series. I have been so inspired and touched by how many of you have been called to participate in the It's Witchcraft offering on my Etsy shop, which I will put the link for that down below. That I wanted to craft a Decklist series focused on following a witchcraft or pagan path and what decks you might wish to work with to connect more to that part of your practice. And of course, when I start to think about that, I have to go to the elements, because the elements are core and foundational in tarot, and they're core and foundational when it comes to my personal witchcraft practice as well. And also I found them to be core and foundational in the shamanic training and lineage that I was tutored under as well. So the elemental core to my practice is really essential. And if you are looking to feel more connected on your personal spiritual path in alignment with either a solitary witchcraft practice, a pagan practice, across the board, in wherever you fall on that beautiful spectrum, then hopefully this series helps you be able to pull on the decks that you have in your collection in order to feel more connected to the elements and to be able to bring that into daily practice in your story, in your life. So we're going to start. Oh, I should say, let's all grab a beverage, my loves. Grab a beverage. You're going to want a beverage for this, because I had so many decks for this element and I had to I edited myself and I still have too many decks on this list. So I'm not going to be waxing poetic for every single one of these. I will be moving through the decks relatively quickly, but there are still a lot of decks for us to get through. And I want to just give you some brief points on why you might want to work with this deck for that elemental association. So grab a beverage, because you're definitely going to want one. This is going to be another long video. You guys have 2 long videos from me this week. So we're going to do a drink. A little sip of tea. It's absolutely fucking freezing here today. It was 50 degrees yesterday and it's 19 degrees today, so that's been fun. So we are starting with a core element for me, the core of cores, which is the element of earth. We're going to start with the element of earth in our practice. Of course, within the structure of tarot, we associate that with the suit of pentacles. And when we're talking about the element of earth from a witchcraft and tarot perspective, at least from how I experience it, we're really talking about the embodiment of the spiritual within the physical. We're talking about literal physicality, so our bodies, the earth itself. We're talking about the nature beings that comprise the element of earth and the gods of place, the gods within the land where we live, and as a whole at a planetary level. We're also talking about security, stability, abundance, lack thereof. And I have found personally, especially walking a path in service to the sacred feminine, in alignment with the sacred feminine, that the earth element is where, as women, we have a lot of wounding. And so as women, if you identify as female, if you're engaging and working with the feminine side of oneself, if you are, I want to say that differently. When we are able to be fully present in our body, and when we are able to embody the divine feminine on our path, we really are interacting with the earth element in a very balanced place. And when we look at the physical, the earth, so often seen as so far away from the spiritual in Christian tradition, that we want to denounce the physical in order to be more spiritual, such a huge healing aspect occurs within non-traditional spiritual lineages when we instead flip that and can say as above, so below, and find the reverence, the divinity within the physical. So all of these things are aspects of the earth element. Incidentally, the earth element is often associated with green and black if we're looking for traditional color associations. no, I was going to say white, but that typically tends to be more spirit when we invoke that element, or the culmination of the 4. So black and green tend to be associated with the earth element. And I have found stone-wise, if you want to be connecting in with the earth element and you want to work with crystals, words this week, hematite, smoky quartz, obsidian, black spinel, anything like that is going to, and I would also say jasper is going to be crystal associations, stone associations that allow you to feel very grounded and safe in your body. Hematite and smoky quartz and black obsidian are 3 of my most used crystals in my collection. So, and also today's outfit choice was inspired by the witches of the Puritan times. So you cannot burn us. So here we are, earth element deck list for working with the earth element. I'm going to include a small spread in the description box below as well if you want to get to know the earth element personally for yourself at a more intimate level. So that is free of charge, of course. Enjoy it. I just ask that you credit me if you use it in any online sharing. So sip of tea. Let's get into the list. Oh, man, this was so hard. It was so hard because I have so many amazing decks. And here's the thing I also want to say. Let me just say this before we really get into it too. Tarot and most oracle decks, but all of tarot contains all of the elements within it. So while I'm calling out a deck that I associate with a certain element, if you find that it speaks more of air than earth to you, then go ahead and work with the element in alignment with how you work with the deck in alignment with the element that you most associate it with. This is just jumping off points for those of you who are looking to deepen into your practice and who want to experience more fulfillment in their spiritual practice and feeling less like a student. What I have noticed is a lot of the offerings over the last few weeks in my It's Witchcraft tradition here have really been speaking to members of the community who are looking to feel like they have a practice that is grounded, that's impactful, that's meaningful, and that's less about trying a bunch of different things and following the latest fad. Okay, so that's the focus and intention in this series. You can use all of these decks for any elemental association. The most important thing is that you explore and figure that out for yourself. So we're going to start with the Darkwood Tarot because this is one that I just so powerfully associate with not only the path of the witch, but also with the woods and the element of earth. So this is the Darkwood Tarot. A lot of people also that I have worked with over the years associate this deck with the goddess Hecate as well. So you might find that you are called to work with this deck for that reason. Wow, I magically ended up with reversals in this deck. I don't really read with reversals. That's interesting. Okay, there you go. There's some fairies fucking with my cards. So why Darkwood Tarot is earth element for me? Because I grew up out in the woods, I have a real affinity for the forest and for the magic and mystery of the forest, which so encompasses also what I consider to be the magic and mystery of the witch, whether we are talking about the witch in myth or our lived practice as witches. This deck really speaks to both of those and marries them beautifully. And it also has that touch of mystery, of lustiness, of exploration, but also in its tonality, color-wise, it speaks to the earth element for me. It grounds you. It's not an overly busy artwork. And so if you're looking to connect with your physicality and your craft, this is a wonderful deck because, I mean, look at that imagery. It just pulls you right into the path of the witch, working with the elements, working with the element of earth in our body to experience our union with the divine. So this is the Darkwood Tarot. I associate it with the element of earth, and it's a powerful, beautiful tarot deck that only gets better with time, much like a fine wine. And let's face it, eating and drinking is also part of the earth element experience. Next is the Slavic Legends Tarot. I love this deck so much. And this too reminds me of the woods, of the experience that you have with the land as being alive when you are isolated, when you have time to be quiet and to really connect in with the element of earth. There is a sense of how alive the trees, the stones, the plants, and yes, the animals as well are, and how everything has a personality, a voice, something to express and to share if you can be still enough to listen. And this deck really beautifully connects in with that energy of, I think, reverence for the land, but also how much you are a part of it when you can get quiet and still enough to hear those voices. So this is the Slavic Legends Tarot, and I recommend it for connecting with the earth element. Next on the list is the Wildwood Tarot. I have such a love-hate relationship with this deck, but I do have to say, if you feel connected to the Celtic pantheon at all, and if you really want to connect with, again, the woods and the earth element in regards to embodiment, this is a deck that gives clear answers for that type of energy. So this is the Wildwood Tarot. Not only that, but again, the colors, the tonality, the feel of this artwork is very earth-based to me. And it really does speak of your craft embodied, like even the witch in the midst of her ritual out in the woods. You know, we're not in houses here. We're in nature. We're connected to nature. Our experience, physical, spiritual, the union thereof, is happening through the lens and symbol of nature. And so it has a very grounding effect. Sometimes this deck is a little too wordy for me, but it is a very powerful deck for connecting with the earth element as well as with the Celtic pantheon. So that is the Wildwood Tarot. I think I want to stick with this earthy vibe here, and then I'll move more into the occult perspective in a moment. So the next deck on the list is the Hush Tarot. I love this deck so much, and people have an interesting response to it, but I really, really love this deck. I feel such a sense of, again, the earth, the woods. I feel like when I work with this deck, like I can smell the pine needles and the pine pitch when you go and walk out in the woods, you know, and you put your hand accidentally on the tree and it comes back sticky and you can't get the pine pitch off for days. I remember being a teenager and being out in the woods with my brother, having a new pair of jeans that I was so excited about, on those rare occasions when I was actually allowed to wear pants. And I remember getting pine pitch on those jeans and just being like, no, they're ruined now. But the way that pine pitch stays with you, this deck kind of stays with you like that. It gets under your skin a little bit, and it's a very sensory deck. And I think when we're working with the earth element, if we're going to be embodied, we are experiencing and exploring our senses. So the Hush Tarot for me is very representative of that. It's also a very Fae deck, which I do consider the Fae. I think that they hold within them all of the elements, but if I'm going to offer a structure to connect with the elements for your practice with, I would associate them with the element of earth. And so this deck lines up with that as well. It's so windy here today, guys. You're probably hearing that wind. So this is the Hush Tarot, but I know a lot of people haven't liked the deck and been like, oh, Racine, you recommended it, I didn't like it. I love the Hush Tarot, still love it to this day, work with it often, and especially when I want to feel embodied in my practice and connect with the earth element, connect with the woods and the forest. That's a great deck for that. Okay, so next I want to go to, it was a toss-up between Journey of the Hidden Realms and the Witch Sister Tarot, and for the earth element, because we've been talking about them so much on the channel, I didn't want to put them in every video this month. But the Witch Sister Tarot I associate with the craft aspect of being a witch and with the Celtic pantheon. And so I think this is a great deck if you want to embrace and connect with the earth element within you and within your practice. This is a deck that is lived just as we live the earth element through our human experience. So this is a wonderful one to connect with the element of earth. And out of all the decks so far, if you could only get one, I would say this or the Darkwood Tarot would be the ride or die choices for me. This is a very, very special tarot deck and very, very intimately connected with the lived experience of ancient witches. Okay, so in keeping kind of with this theme, I'm going to move now to Brian Froud's Fairies Oracle. This deck's been on vacation, that's why she was wrapped up. Brian Froud's Fairies Oracle, excuse me, is stunning artwork wise. The guidebook is a dream and to die for. And if you work with this deck, please, 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 please at least read the guidebook through once. It's completely worth it. The exercises in the guidebook are awesome to start connecting and building a relationship with the deck. This is the first Oracle deck on the list. But I mean, come on, does it get more earth element than that? If you're looking to connect with the Fae voice of the earth element, I think that this is a wonderful deck to do that with. And also to get the really real deal. Like, this deck is gonna confound you, but also tell you the truth. So this is a beautiful, beautiful deck on so many levels, but for feeling the earthiness and for feeling the aliveness of nature, this is a wonderful deck to connect with for that. And again, this is the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud, and my elastic just broke there, so that won't be going back on. All of my decks have been so like alive lately. Okay, next I'm going to go to the Woodland Wardens. This is another Oracle deck, and this has to do with physical animals representative of being spirit animal energy married to a plant. So you get plant magic and you get spirit animal magic in one beautiful deck that, again, in color and feel, just is the epitome of the earth element to me. It's such a beautiful deck. I love this deck more every year. This, like Coastal Curiosities, is just giving me life. I love this deck. And even though it is a spirit animal magic, plant magic deck, I apologize guys, my nose is running because it's so cold. Even though it is a spirit animal and plant magic deck, it is not confined to only offering clarity in those areas. This is a great all-around clarifying oracle deck as well, so you can marry it to any tarot deck that you have really beautifully. Plus, like, look at this. Look at how beautiful they look together, right? Talk about gorgeousness. So this is the Woodland Wardens Oracle. I love this deck so much. I really highly recommend it if you want to connect with the earth element. And if you are new to working with oracle decks, tarot decks, divination, and just decks in general, or if you're new to a witchcraft practice, this deck is so loving and enveloping and gentle. Again, it's not that it still has the efficacy of the other decks, but it's also gentle and loving, and so it might be a nice introductory deck for you as well. So if you're a new witch, or if you're new to working with oracle and tarot, this can be a great introductory deck for you. The guidebook is lovely. It's not overwhelming, but it gives you real information. It's a really, really special deck. So next in feel with that is the Compendium of Witches Oracle, another oracle deck on the list. Very earth element based for me, and much like Witch Sister Tarot, this deck really feels to me like the craft of the witch. This is all about the ancient witches, their archetypes, their tools, and the spirits of place. So it's really, really beautiful. It's a unique oracle deck. The guidebook is wonderful as well. And it feels so intrinsically, it's like part of my DNA as a witch. And it's also very, very connected to the element of earth for me. So it's one that, again, if I want to feel grounded in my practice, if I want to feel connected to source, if I want to feel safe in my body, if I want to feel enveloped in the magic and mystery of my practice as a witch, This is a deck that is such a beautiful option for that I turn to for that reason again and again. And it's also a beautiful deck in client readings. This is a chatty deck that likes to talk with clients. And so this deck gets a lot of use in my work as well. That was Compendium of Witches Oracle. The Mystical Batonical Oracle. This is another deck that's like the definition of witchcraft for me. It's all plant magic. It's all about the witch's garden. So it's very earth element focused. The guidebook is very helpful. So even if you're not a green witch like me, I am not a green witch as much as I love the element of earth. I consider myself an energetic witch. But this deck is very grounding to connect with the element of earth. And you don't have to be a gardener. You don't have to have a green thumb. You don't have to identify as a hedge witch in order to work with this deck. The artwork itself is just so indicative of the path of the witch to me, and it's so inspiring. It actually really inspires me to write. I will pick up a journal and just journal based on the artwork in this deck. And as I said, the guidebook is a really good guidebook, not overwhelming, but it gives you enough information to understand what you're seeing. I love this deck. This is another one like the Hush Tarot, where some people I know in the community have been like, Racine, why did you recommend that? But I love this deck. One of you sent this deck to me, and I cannot thank you guys enough because I never would have bought it on my own ever, because I'm not a green witch. But this deck is so powerfully earth element for me, and I am working with this deck as a daily draw deck right now. Really, really love that deck. Okay, I wanted to make sure that I hit kind of like the earthy, woodsy. Okay. So next on the list is, you guys knew this was going to be on this, the Earth and Bone Oracle. It's literally called the Earth and Bone Oracle. This is another deck that just contains the mystery of living the witch's path for me. And it's also a great deck to use not only for shadow work, but as a clarifying oracle deck. This is an oracle deck. I love and adore this deck. This is the indie version. If you purchase the deck now, the mass-produced version looks a little bit different, but both decks are wonderful. Ooh, who's hiding? Cage is hiding. Really, I can't, this deck's in my top 5 oracle decks, which I know, guys, I need to do that video. It's coming. It's coming. I'm going to do it. It's hard to narrow it down to 5, right? But this deck is so special. It's so much about, again, like the cellular memory of the land, the memory that lies within our bones, within our DNA, within our skin, and the connection of spirit to earth, and that sweet spot there that happens, that to me is representative of the earth element. So that is the Earth and Bone Oracle, and it is really, really beautiful. Another deck that I would say, if you're newer to a witchcraft path, a pagan path, if you're newer to working with oracle and tarot, then this is a wonderful deck that's going to let you feel that sense of connection, but where you're not overwhelmed by figuring out how to use the deck. So that's another great option as well. Next on the list is Barbieri's Night Fairies. You guys know how much I love Barbieri decks. Y'all know how much I love his decks. I love it when you guys send me messages and you're like, Barbieri's got a new deck out, go check it out. And I'm like, yes, because I get so excited. But the Night Fairies Oracle, I feel like, because it has the animal magic within it as well, so you have animal magic and you have fae magic in this deck, it does really feel more earth-based to me, and I really like to use this one for the Sabbath observances. And if you are new to a path of witchcraft and you want to connect in with daily and lived experience as a witch, observing the Sabbaths in a way that feels authentic for you can be really profound. It was one of my favorite things to start doing when I was a baby witch, and I still to this day, I mean, I do Sabbath offerings regularly because they're just so fucking magical and mysterious, and you just feel this sense of the goddess coming down into you, and you rising up to meet the goddess. And to follow that cyclical journey is so magical. And this deck I really associate with the Sabbats. I tend to use it for Sabbat preparation, public Sabbat preparation, and private Sabbat preparation. And I also use this deck as a general oracle deck for readings. It's really great for that. It has a slight shadow tinge because it is a nighttime deck. But this is like, oh, I love this deck. I love all these decks. This deck is so wonderful though. So a good all-rounder, especially wonderful for Sabbat and Esbat observances, and to contain the nighttime mystery and magic of the earth path and the earth element, which I would also say the magical botanical oracle is really great for nighttime magic in regards to the element of earth as well. Okay. Next, I have the Wisdom of the Wild Things Oracle. This is a newer purchase for me, but the Forest Fae vibes just, you know, I mean, they scream earth element. There's also that very compassionate energy that I think the woods and the element of earth itself contains within it. The compassion for the fragility of the physical experience. And this deck holds that compassion while also being able to be honest with you. And it's got this whimsical feel that does remind me of being like 8 years old in the woods with my brother and just playing make-believe. This is what that deck reminds me of. It's very, very special, beautiful deck. It's a sweet deck. It's imaginative. And if you're looking to have creative exploration off of the earth element, this is another great deck that you can write and tell story off of as well. Seasonally representative here too, so you can really anchor into that spiral, the sacred spiral of the witch's path, a cyclical practice instead of a linear practice. It's just a loving, sweet, darling deck, and I really enjoy working with it, and I feel it most strongly as being representative of the earth element. So I'm going to switch a little bit more now into a little bit more of a shamanic experience than Fae experience here. I'm going to move over to the black edition of the Obsidian Oracle. I don't talk about this deck a lot. And also, incidentally, I want to say honorable mention here, right now, for the Earthbound Oracle. The Earthbound Oracle would be on this list, but I cannot find my copy. This is the first time ever that I've ever not been able to find that copy. So I'm trying not to have a panic attack about it. But the Earthbound Oracle would be here as a core deck for me in general, but core representative of the earth element specifically. So this is the black edition of the Obsidian Oracle. And I just feel like it speaks to the little creatures in the woods and the little beings. There is a crystal or stone and an animal that's associated with each of these images. And so if you're looking to connect with those aspects of the earth element on your journey and path, it's a great way to do that. It's also just a sweet deck that clarifies tarot beautifully, and it's not overwhelming. And you know, we connect in with the element of earth when we need to feel grounded, and a lot of times I would recommend, if you get activated around trauma, if you have a day where you just feel stretched to the max, spread too thin, if you're dealing with high anxiety, if you're moving through a time where you're dealing with depression, decks like this that are not overly conceptual and instead like grounded in the physical can be like a balm to our soul. And so if you're currently moving through an experience like that, then a deck like this is a great option, and I really strongly recommend this. I believe this is still an indie deck, but it's really special, really lovely, and I do need to do a full review on the channel. I think I did an unboxing, but not a full review. But I do strongly associate this a little more shamanic leaning than Celtic Pantheon Earth Element, but I do highly recommend this one. So next on the list, you guys knew was going to be here, is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. I love this deck. Many of you guys have many opinions on it. But for me, this is very much in alignment with the representatives of the touchstones that I had to embody and learn in the shamanic trainings I've taken over the years. So this is a really special deck to me, for me, and I'm able to offer really clear divinatory readings with this deck, as well as nuanced spiritual readings with this deck. And it contains symbolism that is connected with for the earth element and in the shamanic tradition as well. So this is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. You either love it or hate it. I think you either love it or hate it, but I am someone who loves this deck and I use it all the goddamn time. I even have the pocket edition. I love it so much. So that's the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Next in the kind of shamanic vibe on this list is the Wild Unknown Tarot. This is the pocket edition. I've been using this deck so much, I'm actually going to purchase the full size. Now, mind you all, please remember, let's just remember that Racine donated her first edition of this deck because she didn't connect with it. And now I freaking love this deck. I do associate this deck, particularly of Kim Cran's decks, with the earth element because you do have a lot of spirit animal representation here. And something about this deck just feels a little more earthy to me. So I've been finding that this deck is actually very intelligent when it comes to offering insight into our spiritual journey, but it's expressed through the physical. So for me, this is an earth element deck, and it's really special. Can you believe I'm saying that? Me, the person who for years was like, I don't get it, guys. I don't get the wild unknown obsession. And here I am, like, my most comfortable element, and it's one of the decks on the list. No, I've really come to love this deck. It is very special. It's just finding a way to understand it outside of how popularized it's been and allowing yourself to understand its unique personality. And this one's very unique when you work with it from the perspective I just talked about. So this is the Wild Unknown. That is a tarot deck. Okay. Now, I had to go grab this one because I accidentally forgot to pull it. This is a shamanic lineage earth element essential to me. It is independently produced. If you are stateside, it does have to ship from overseas, so it is an investment deck, but there is no other deck like this one. There just isn't. This is a very special deck, and it's very shamanic earth steeped for me. And this is the Weaver's Oracle. It's really special, and I don't use it like any other Oracle deck in that I don't use it with tarot. I use this one strictly alone, and so that I can understand the message that each of the weavers, has to share. There's an elemental association, a tribal association, and the magic of this deck is so freaking special. So special. It's so unique, and it's just palpably earth element. You feel the wisdom of the grandmothers. You feel the wisdom of the land in this deck in a way that I experienced my lineage when it was handed to me, passed down to me from my teachers. There is a reverence that you experience in that type of ceremony when it's authentic and it's not being pimped out to make money, that I can still cry about it now because that's how powerful my initiation was in the lineages that I trained under. And this deck feels exactly like that. It feels exactly like that. It's really special. And if you work with it, I really encourage you, even if you're a seasoned reader, approach how you work with this differently. And if you want to connect with the earth element, this is a great way to work with one card. Sit with the guidebook, read it through several times, read the meanings through several times, journal about what comes up, write and craft your own myth in alignment with the myth of the weaver. There's so many different directions you can take this to connect with the earth element as a lived practice that this is This, if not my first recommendation for the earth element, it's number 2 because it's so powerful. This is a really, really special deck. So that is the Weaver's Oracle. Last one in my kind of shamanic earth element feeling decks are the soul cards. I only have soul cards 1 now. I think I had 2. I don't know. I got to go back to that. You know what I realized I forgot to put? Oh, never mind. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to associate it with a different element. Remember, this is a series. There's more decks coming with different elements. But this is soul cards 1. And it's an intuitive deck, which to me is very much in alignment with the earth element. When we are living and embodied in the goddess and our path, and living and embodied with the earth, we are living intuitively. And so because this deck is read completely intuitively without meanings, it becomes a very sacred dream time deck to me. And so I really associate this one with the liminal spaces within the earth. So the time before sunrise, the time after sunset. It's just it's a really, I keep saying all of these decks are special, but they all are. I love these decks so much. And this one especially is one that causes you to slow down, pause, reflect, and be, which is the earth element embodiment. It is being, right? You've got to be present to that in order to be. And the Weaver's Oracle, Soul Cards 1, the Mystical Shaman, these type of decks do really help us to slow down and just be. Now, my final 2 decks are more occult earth based. And I do have an honorable mention that I cannot find right now either, and that is the Hermetic Tarot. That would be here on the list. Why Hermetic Tarot? I fucking love that deck. Oh, it's so sexy to me. But also there is something within the occult tradition when we look at the magician aspect and the sorceress aspect of witchcraft that is associated with the earth element that I feel like the Hermetic Tarot just evokes very powerfully. I love that deck. Something magical happens when I read with that deck. And I have had to repurchase that deck a few times over the years. And I hope that this is not another situation of that, because I know where it is, but it's not where it's supposed to be right now. So, sip of tea. Next on this list is Crowley's Thoth Tarot. Thoth or Thoth, however you would like to say that. I do not consider myself an advanced student of this deck. I never will. I've been working with this deck since I started my witchcraft path. This deck is strong in the occult magical tradition of the mage, of the sorceress. And in that sense, the, how do I want to say that? To will aspect of the earth element is very palpably represented in this deck. As well as, again, the colors, the tonality feels earthy to me in and of itself. So it just naturally lends itself to the earth element and to the occult aspect of the craft. This deck is infamous. I'm not going to go into its history. I've talked about this deck on the channel many times. There are far more learned practitioners online and on YouTube who can speak to this deck much more, with much more wisdom than I can. If I've ever read for you with the Thoth Tarot, some kind of magic was happening there, because I very rarely ever read for anyone but myself with the Thoth Tarot. And it's just one of those decks, I feel like it's infinite, like the earth herself. Even in her death cycle, she is still alive and creating. And that's what the Thoth Tarot feels like for me. So that is Crowley's Thoth Tarot. Final deck on my list, occult magic. We're talking about the earth in regards to the underworld. Oh, this deck. I've been working with this deck again daily recently. I love you so much. This is the Gaia Tarot by Fabio Listrani, my eternal deck creator crush. Syrian and Fabio, I love you guys. Yeah, this is the Gaia Tarot. So we are working with the underworld and the demons in this deck. It is both tarot and a compendium, if you will. And it's not for the faint of heart. And again, we're talking about the sorceress aspect of the earth element. We're talking about the occult aspect of the earth element. We're talking about the secrets that lie in the waters, that feed into the underground. And we have our ear to those voices to listen to the secrets, right? The ancient secrets of the land. That's this deck. And it's not for the faint of heart. Please don't just like work with this deck off of a whim. Please approach this deck with reverence and caution. If you do, it's a powerful deck. There is nudity in this deck. It's beautiful. Why did I put it with the earth element? I consider the demon realm, because it is profane, to be associated with the earth element. This is due to my Christian background. So that, you know, that's why for me, this is associated with the earth element. As I said, you may associate these decks with different elements. This is meant to be a jumping off point to inspire you on your path so that you feel you're living your path more authentically, especially when it comes to your card practice. So this is the Gaia, excuse me, the Gaia deck by Fabio Lestrani. I do have the special edition. I don't know if they still have any of these available, but look at that. Oh, I love these decks so much. So this is my earth element list, guys. If you are intrigued, want to connect with this element more, there is the small card spread listed in the description box below for you to explore on your own with your own deck of choice that you feel aligns with the earth element. But the earth element is a great place to start with, especially if you are looking to embrace the divine within yourself, the sacred feminine within yourself, and especially if you want to feel like you're living your spiritual path, not just visiting it on occasion. But it has been an honor, as always, to sit with you guys and hang out and chill and talk about decks, which, let's face it, some of my favorite things on earth. As a Taurus sun and with my Venus in Taurus, the earth element is home for me, and I am sending you all so much love, so much gratitude, and many blessings. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.